As if winning Miss Universe wasn't already the ultimate prize, a few extraordinary winners managed to secure an even bigger life upgrade. After claiming the crown and global fame, they went on to marry into some of the world's richest families, turning their stories into the definition of a win-win. It's a rare feat that only a handful of beauty queens have achieved. In this video, we will be talking about 5 Miss Universe winners who didn't just capture the crown, they also married into powerful billionaire dynasties. Pia Wurtzbach. When people talk about unforgettable moments in Miss Universe history, one name always comes up: Pia Wurtzbach. But here's the interesting part. As if winning one of the most prestigious beauty crowns on the planet wasn't already a life-changing victory, Pia's story didn't stop there. Years later, she would marry into a wealthy global family with deep connections to one of the world's most famous liquor empires. Talk about a win-win. But to really understand how remarkable this story is, you have to start long before the crown. Unlike many pageant contestants who grew up with privilege, Pia's early life was far from glamorous. Born in Germany and raised in the Philippines, her childhood included financial struggles that forced her to mature quickly. At a young age, she started working in show business, appearing in small television roles and modeling jobs just to help support her family. Now, here's where her determination really begins to show. Pia didn't become Miss Universe overnight. In fact, she failed several times before finally claiming the crown. She competed in national pageants multiple times, losing again and again. For many people, that would have been the end of the road. But Pia kept returning, each time sharper, more confident, and more prepared. That persistence finally paid off in 2015 when she won Miss Universe 2015, representing the Philippines. And of course, the moment became one of the most dramatic scenes in pageant history. During the live broadcast, host Steve Harvey mistakenly announced the wrong winner before correcting the result moments later. For nearly 2 minutes, another contestant was wearing the crown before it was transferred to Pia on stage. It was awkward. It was shocking. But somehow, Pia handled the situation with remarkable grace. Instead of letting the chaos define the moment, she remained calm, composed, and respectful. That poise instantly won over audiences around the world. Overnight, she became not just a beauty queen, but a symbol of resilience and class under pressure. Naturally, winning Miss Universe opened doors everywhere. She traveled across the globe, advocated for HIV awareness, worked with charities, and became one of the most recognizable beauty queens of the modern era. Brands wanted her. Media outlets wanted her. Fans adored her. But here's where the story takes an even more fascinating turn. Years after her reign, Pia began dating Jeremy Jauncey, a Scottish entrepreneur and the founder of Beautiful Destinations, a global travel media company that has partnered with major tourism boards and luxury brands around the world. Their relationship quickly caught public attention. The two shared a love for travel, business, and creative storytelling. And as their relationship grew, so did the fascination around them as a couple. Then came the big moment. In 2023, Pia and Jeremy tied the knot in an intimate yet breathtaking ceremony on North Island in the Seychelles, one of the most exclusive private islands on the planet, a place often visited by royalty and billionaires. But what made the marriage even more intriguing was Jeremy's background. His family has connections to Bacardi Limited, the legendary spirits company behind the globally famous Bacardi rum brand. The Bacardi family built one of the largest privately held liquor empires in the world, with a fortune that spans generations. So, in a fascinating twist of fate, the girl who once struggled financially growing up ended up marrying into circles connected to one of the wealthiest beverage dynasties on Earth. Yet what makes Pia's story even more impressive is that she didn't rely on marriage to build her success. Even after winning Miss Universe, she continued working relentlessly. She built a strong personal brand, collaborated with international fashion houses, invested in business ventures, and became a respected public figure in Asia and beyond. In other words, Pia didn't just marry into wealth, she built her own influence first. And perhaps that's why her story resonates so strongly with fans. Because at its core, it's not just about beauty, crowns, or billionaire connections. It's about persistence. It's about refusing to give up after failure. And it's about a young woman who turned rejection after rejection into one of the most remarkable life stories in modern pageant history. Winning Miss Universe was already a dream come true for Pia Wurtzbach, but marrying into circles connected to a powerful global dynasty made her story even more extraordinary. Still, as incredible as Pia's journey is, she isn't the only beauty queen whose life took such a fascinating turn after the crown. In fact, the next Miss Universe winner on our list didn't just find love after pageant glory, she married into a world of massive fame, fortune, and influence that placed her at the center of one of America's most talked-about celebrity power couples. Olivia Culpo. If Pia Wurtzbach's story showed how a Miss Universe crown can lead to unimaginable opportunities, the next woman on our list proves that sometimes the spotlight only gets brighter after the pageant ends. Because when Olivia Culpo won Miss Universe 2012, she didn't just gain global recognition, she unknowingly stepped onto a path that would eventually place her at the center of one of America's most talked-about celebrity power couples. But before the fame, the endorsements, and the high-profile romance, Olivia Culpo was simply a girl from Rhode Island with a passion for music. Born in Cranston, Rhode Island, Olivia grew up in a relatively modest household. Her parents worked hard, and discipline was a big part of their upbringing. Interestingly, before modeling ever entered the picture, Olivia's first love was actually music. She played the cello and spent years training as a classical musician, even performing with youth orchestras. Now here's the twist. At the time, the idea that she would one day become one of the most recognizable beauty queens in the world seemed almost unlikely. Olivia herself had admitted that she didn't initially see herself as a pageant contestant, but everything changed when she decided almost on a whim to compete in a local beauty pageant. What happened next unfolded at lightning speed. First, she won Miss Rhode Island USA 2012. Then, shortly after, she claimed the title of Miss USA 2012. Suddenly, the once unknown Rhode Island musician found herself representing the entire United States on the global stage. And when she stepped onto the stage of Miss Universe, Olivia did something no American had done in more than a decade. She won. Her victory at Miss Universe 2012 instantly transformed her into an international celebrity. With her elegance, charm, and sharp confidence, Olivia quickly became one of the most recognizable Miss Universe winners of her era. But here's where things get interesting. Unlike many pageant winners who quietly fade from the spotlight after their reign, Olivia Culpo did the exact opposite. She leveraged her fame in a way that perfectly matched the rise of the social media age. As platforms like Instagram exploded in popularity, Olivia built a massive following. Her fashion sense, glamorous lifestyle, and behind-the-scenes glimpses into celebrity culture turned her into a major influencer long before that word became mainstream. Brands noticed. Luxury fashion labels, beauty companies, and lifestyle brands all lined up to collaborate with her. Soon, Olivia wasn't just a former Miss Universe, she was a full-fledged entrepreneur, model, and media personality. But her personal life also kept making headlines. Over the years, Olivia was linked to several high-profile celebrities, including Nick Jonas, which placed her even deeper into the world of pop culture fame. Their relationship dominated entertainment news for a while, further elevating Olivia's visibility. However, the relationship that would truly redefine her public image came later. Eventually, Olivia met Christian McCaffrey, one of the most electrifying players in the National Football League. McCaffrey, a superstar running back for the San Francisco 49ers, wasn't just another athlete. He came from a powerful football lineage. His father, Ed McCaffrey, was a three-time Super Bowl champion who had already built a legacy in professional football. In other words, Olivia wasn't just dating an NFL star, she was stepping into a family deeply rooted in wealth, influence, and sports history. Fans quickly fell in love with the couple. Their relationship blended Hollywood glamour with elite sports stardom, making them one of the most followed celebrity pairs in America. From red carpet appearances to social media moments, the two seemed perfectly in sync. Then came the milestone moment. In 2024, Olivia Culpo and Christian McCaffrey officially tied the knot in a stunning wedding ceremony held in Rhode Island. The event was elegant, exclusive, and widely covered by the media, further cementing their status as a modern celebrity power couple. Today, The couple represents the merging of two influential worlds: global pageant fame and elite professional sports. Christian's massive NFL contracts, endorsements, and family legacy have placed him among the highest-earning athletes in the league. Meanwhile, Olivia continues to expand her business ventures, including fashion collaborations, restaurant investments, and brand partnerships. Together, they've built a life that blends glamour, influence, and financial success. And yet, as impressive as Olivia Culpo's journey has been, from classical musician to Miss Universe to celebrity entrepreneur, her story is still just one chapter in this fascinating list. Because coming up next is another Miss Universe winner whose life took an even more dramatic turn. After capturing the crown, she went on to marry one of the biggest music superstars in the world, placing her right at the center of a global entertainment empire. Dayanara Torres. I know Olivia Culpo's story showed how a Miss Universe winner can step into the spotlight of celebrity power couples, but the next woman on our list experienced something even more dramatic. Because when Dayanara Torres won Miss Universe 1993, she didn't just become a beauty queen, she became a global sensation. And years later, her life would intertwine with one of the most powerful figures in Latin music. But before the fame, the red carpets, and the high-profile marriage, Dayanara's journey started in a far more humble setting. Born in Puerto Rico, Torres grew up in a modest household where hard work and perseverance were part of everyday life. Like many young girls, she had dreams of something bigger, but few could have predicted just how far those dreams would take her. Her life changed dramatically when she decided to compete in the Miss Puerto Rico Universe 1993 pageant. Winning the national title earned her the chance to represent Puerto Rico on the global stage at Miss Universe. And once she stepped onto that stage, it didn't take long for judges and audiences to notice her. Dayanara had something special. It wasn't just her beauty, it was her warmth, her energy, and a natural charisma that seemed to light up every room she entered. When the final results were announced, she was crowned Miss Universe 1993, bringing enormous pride to Puerto Rico and instantly becoming an international star. Now here's where her story becomes even more fascinating. Unlike some pageant winners who struggle to transition into long-term careers, Dayanara quickly found success in entertainment. She moved into acting, television hosting, and modeling, particularly in Latin American and Asian markets. In fact, she even became a major celebrity in the Philippines, where she starred in films and television shows and developed a huge fan base. Her ability to connect with audiences across cultures made her one of the most beloved Miss Universe winners of her era. But then came the relationship that would put her personal life under an even brighter spotlight. Dayanara eventually met Marc Anthony, the legendary salsa singer whose voice and stage presence had already made him one of the biggest Latin music stars in the world. Their romance quickly captured media attention. Marc Anthony wasn't just another musician, he was a global powerhouse in the Latin music industry. With chart-topping albums, sold-out international tours, and countless awards, he had built a massive entertainment empire. When the two married in 2000, it felt like the perfect fusion of beauty queen glamour and musical superstardom. Suddenly, Dayanara wasn't just known as a former Miss Universe. She was now part of one of the most high-profile couples in Latin entertainment. The pair welcomed two sons together, and their relationship became a regular topic in entertainment headlines. For fans, the marriage seemed like a fairy tale. A global beauty queen and a world-famous music icon building a life together, what could be more glamorous? But as often happens in the world of celebrity relationships, reality proved more complicated. Despite the excitement and public fascination surrounding their union, the marriage eventually faced challenges. After several years together, Dayanara Torres and Marc Anthony divorced in 2004. And yet, even after the separation, Dayanara's story didn't fade. In fact, she continued to thrive in her own right. She remained a respected public figure, appearing on television shows, participating in charitable initiatives, and staying connected with her fans around the world. Over time, she also became an inspiration for many people who admired her resilience, especially as she openly shared her journey through personal challenges and health struggles. But perhaps the most important thing about Dayanara Torres is that her legacy extends far beyond the glamour of pageants or celebrity marriages. Her victory at Miss Universe helped inspire a generation of young women in Puerto Rico and across Latin America, proving that talent, confidence, and determination could open doors to global opportunities. And while her marriage to Mark Anthony placed her inside the orbit of a powerful entertainment empire, Dayanara ultimately proved that her identity and influence were never defined by someone else's fame. She had already built her own legacy. But as mind-blowing as Dayanara Torres' journey has been, there is another Miss Universe winner whose life took a completely different direction after the crown. Instead of music or sports, she stepped into the world of international cinema and married a champion athlete who built a powerful business empire of his own. Lara Dutta. When Lara Dutta won Miss Universe 2000, it wasn't just another pageant victory. It was a moment that announced India's growing dominance on the global beauty stage. But what makes her story even more interesting is this. Unlike many winners who fade after the crown, Lara used it as a launchpad into a completely different world, one that eventually connected her to sports royalty and a powerful entrepreneurial legacy. But let's start from the beginning, because her journey wasn't built on luck. Lara grew up in India in a disciplined household shaped by structure and education. Her father was in the Indian Air Force, which meant moving, adapting, and maintaining discipline were part of her everyday life. That upbringing quietly shaped her personality, calm, confident, and extremely articulate under pressure. And that last part? It became her biggest advantage. When she entered Miss India 2000, she wasn't just competing on looks. She stood out for something more powerful, her communication skills. Judges noticed that she could think on her feet, structure her thoughts clearly, and speak with a kind of confidence that didn't feel rehearsed. That alone changed everything. She won Miss India, which meant one thing. She was heading to Miss Universe. Now here's where the story really starts to shift. At Miss Universe 2000, Lara wasn't the loudest contestant. She wasn't the flashiest either. But every time she stepped on stage, there was a quiet authority about her presence. She didn't need to try too hard. She simply was the moment. Then came the final question round, the part where many contestants crack under pressure. But Lara didn't. She delivered her answer with such clarity and confidence that it instantly separated her from the rest of the competition. It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. Controlled, intelligent, effortless. And when her name was finally announced as Miss Universe, it felt less like a surprise and more like confirmation of what everyone had slowly started to realize throughout the night. India had a new global queen. Now, here's where things get interesting again. Most people would assume that after winning Miss Universe, the next step would be a predictable path like modeling contracts, endorsements, maybe a slow fade from the spotlight. But Lara chose something different. She entered the world of cinema. Transitioning into the Bollywood film industry, Lara quickly proved she was more than just a pageant winner. She wasn't relying on her crown, she was building a second identity. Over time, she appeared in films, worked with major actors, and established herself as a recognizable face in Indian entertainment. But while her professional life was evolving, her personal life was about to take another major turn. Lara eventually met Mahesh Bhupathi, one of India's most successful tennis players and a global sports figure in his own right. And this wasn't just an athlete. Bhupathi had already made history as a Grand Slam champion, placing him among the elite in international tennis. But beyond the sport, he was also building something bigger, an entrepreneurial footprint in sports management and branding. Through his company, Globosport, he became deeply involved in managing athletes, events, and endorsements, expanding his influence far beyond the tennis court. So when Lara and Mahesh's paths crossed, it wasn't just a celebrity romance, it was the meeting of two high-achieving worlds entertainment and elite sports. Their relationship developed steadily, away from excessive media noise at first, but once it became public, it quickly attracted attention. After all, this wasn't just a Bollywood actress and a tennis star, this was a former Miss Universe and a global sports champion. Eventually, the couple got married in 2011, and their union was widely celebrated in India. Together, they became one of the country's most recognized power couples, balancing careers in film, sports, business, and family life. Unlike many celebrity relationships that thrive only on public attention, theirs was built on shared ambition and mutual respect for each other's demanding careers. And in many ways, that's what makes Lara Dutta's journey so compelling. She didn't just win a crown and settle into it, she evolved. She expanded. She moved from pageants to cinema, and then into a life connected to one of India's most successful sports dynasties through marriage. But even more importantly, she never allowed any single identity, Miss Universe, actress, or wife, to define her completely. She built layers, and that's why her story stands strong. But as impressive as Lara Dutta's journey is, she isn't the final chapter here. Because the next Miss Universe winner on our list didn't just enter sports royalty, she married into one of the most dominant basketball families in the world where legacy, championships, and massive global influence come together in a completely different way. Amelia Vega. When Amelia Vega won Miss Universe 2003, she didn't just make history for her country, she quietly began a journey that would eventually connect her to one of the most respected families in professional basketball. But before the fame, before the marriage, and before the dynasty connection, Amelia's story begins with something simple: national pride. Born in the Dominican Republic, Amelia Vega grew up in a country where beauty pageants are taken seriously and celebrated widely. From a young age, she stood out, not just because of her height and striking presence, but because of her confidence. At just 18 years old, she entered the Miss Dominican Republic Universe 2003 competition. And here's where things started moving fast. She didn't just compete, she dominated. Her poise, intelligence, and natural stage presence quickly made her the clear winner. That victory earned her the chance to represent her country at Miss Universe, one of the most competitive global pageants in the world. Now, what happened next was historic. At Miss Universe 2003, Amelia Vega stood out from the beginning. She had a rare combination of elegance and confidence that didn't feel forced. When she walked on stage, there was a calm assurance about her, like she belonged there from the very first second. Then came the final moment. When her name was announced as Miss Universe, she became the first Dominican woman ever to win the crown. The country erupted in celebration. For the Dominican Republic, this wasn't just a win, it was history. But Amelia's story didn't slow down after the crown. She transitioned into music, acting, and entertainment, exploring different creative paths while maintaining her global recognition. Like many Miss Universe winners, she had opportunities across fashion and media, but what made her stand out was how she balanced fame with a grounded personal life. And that's where the next chapter quietly began forming. Amelia eventually met Al Horford, a rising star in professional basketball who would later become one of the most respected players in the National Basketball Association. At the time, Horford wasn't just any athlete, he was already building the foundation of what would become a long and successful NBA career. Drafted into the league and quickly proving himself as a reliable and dominant presence, he was part of a new generation of international basketball talent reshaping the game. But what makes this story even more interesting is the family behind him. Al Horford comes from a basketball lineage. His father, Tito Horford, was also an NBA player, making the Horford name already familiar in professional basketball circles. That means Amelia wasn't just entering a relationship with an athlete, she was stepping into an established sports legacy. And as their relationship developed, it became clear that this wasn't just another celebrity romance. It was a merging of two worlds: global pageant fame and elite sports tradition. Eventually, Amelia Vega and Al Horford got married in 2011, creating one of the most admired international couples in sports and entertainment circles. But here's the key detail that keeps their story fascinating. Al Horford's career didn't just remain solid, it became legendary in its own right. Over the years, he became a multiple-time NBA All-Star and eventually won an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics, cementing his place among the most respected big men in modern basketball. That championship moment didn't just elevate Horford, it also reinforced the couple's place within an elite sports dynasty. Because at that point, Amelia Vega wasn't just a Miss Universe winner anymore. She was now part of a basketball family that had produced professional athletes across generations, competed at the highest level of the sport, and achieved global recognition. Together, Amelia and Al built a life that blends fame, family, and elite sports success. Despite the demands of NBA travel schedules and public attention, they've maintained a strong family unit, and are often seen as one of the more stable celebrity-athlete marriages. And what makes Amelia Vega's journey so compelling is how naturally it evolved. She didn't chase the spotlight after winning Miss Universe. It followed her. She didn't force herself into sports royalty. It became part of her life through genuine connection and shared values. And that brings us to the end of this list of Miss Universe winners who didn't just win the crown of Miss Universe, but also found themselves stepping into some of the most powerful families and relationships in sports, entertainment, and global business. From global beauty queens to women connected to billion-dollar dynasties and elite sports legacies, their journeys prove that the crown is often just the beginning of a much bigger story. Because in the world of fame and influence, sometimes winning Miss Universe is only half the win. That's it about the Miss Universe winners who married into billionaire dynasties. Which couple did you like best? Drop it in the comments, smash that like button if you enjoyed watching this video, and subscribe to Her Status for more stories.